Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm your host, Tony Coleman. Today I'm going to do an unboxing of the ZTE Blade A7 Prime from Visible. Now, if you get in on the swap deal right now, they are using the A7 Prime instead of the A3, so it would be a better phone. You get better specs basically, and in my opinion, from looking at these phones, they seem to be better all around. So inside the box you get the phone itself, you get your SIM card, and then you get the packaging for sending in your old phone for the swap deal if you are participating in the swap. And that's what I did to get this one. Now, if you're not doing the swap deal, then obviously you would only get the items that would make sense, such as you get the phone, and if you ordered service, you would also get the SIM card. If you didn't order service because you just wanted a phone, you would just obviously get the phone. So on the back here, you got to cut through both these stickers. Pretty much the same thing as the A3. The A7 has exactly the same thing inside the box. It's just the phone, your power brick, and your power cable. It is USB-C. As you can see, they put some of the specs right there on the screen protective sleeve. You get the quad-core processor, face recognition, 16 megapixel camera, yada yada yada. Excuse me. Pretty basic. It actually feels less cheap than the A3 does. I know that may get a few chuckles, but the A7 actually feels more like a legitimate phone to use as your primary phone, whereas the A3 to me felt so cheap it was almost like a kid's toy. So first thing you want to do is peel that sticker off. I usually keep them on if I'm not going to be using it as my primary phone, since I do a lot of beer money. I have phones that just sit there running apps. I will sometimes keep those on for extra protection on the screens, and in case I ever want to resell it later, it still has the protection. However, since it has the ZTE and the stuff on it, it blocks the screen from a lot of the stuff you're doing, and so it ends up being in the way. So here you get the power button is actually a different color. It's red. We'll see if they actually have much power in it. The last two I have set up of these had almost full charge. While I'm waiting for that to boot up, I'll go ahead and get the other items out of the box. Your quick start guide, the power brick, and the USB-C charger. And that's pretty much it. They don't really give you any extras or fancy doodads or anything in it like some of the other phones do. So definitely them getting off as cheap as possible. So the phone itself is initializing. It's ready for me to start setting up, but I'm going to go ahead and open the cable so that if for some reason I need it, I've got it, but I will show you what the cable looks like. It's just a standard USB-C cable. Power brick, nothing fancy. You can see the model number here if you ever need to order another one specifically for that, though you should never really have to worry about it because I mean, these power bricks are pretty standard. So anyway, it's going to want me to start. So hit start. Connect to mobile network. I do not have a SIM in it yet. I plan on doing that later, so hit skip. Then I need to connect to a wireless connection, so I will go with my 5 gigahertz, and let me Put in a password. Okay, authenticating, obtaining IP address. Pretty standard stuff here. If you've ever set up a phone before, this should all look familiar. Checking for updates. Now, this part I wanted to mention. The first phone I set up did not have any updates needed. It was fully up to date and everything went smooth as can be. The second one I set up, it did pull an update. It wanted to update in the background, and it caused me a lot of headaches until all the updates have been ran on it. I think it went through like 2 or 3 updates and required multiple restarts in the process when I did it. So don't assume that the phone will be fully ready to go out the door just because it may need it. And the reason I say it may need it is that I couldn't even download anything out of the Google Play Store because of the background stuff going on. So until it got fully updated and was happy with the current version, I really couldn't do much with it. So, and that includes downloading the Visible app to activate service, if you're getting the drift of what I'm saying here. So here it goes to copy apps and data. If you are using a different phone and you're wanting to switch to this one, definitely do this. I find that if you do it during the setup process, it goes a lot smoother than if you wait until later. Sometimes it's hard to find the app to do it, or some people don't know how to drill down through the Google settings to get to it. So if you're going to use this phone, you would go ahead and do the next and actually go through the prompts. You can use the USB-C cables, but not the one that comes with it, because it only has the one USB-C connector. The other side is the standard USB-A, I think it is. You would need a USB-C to USB-C cable in order to actually do a direct file transfer through the cable, which is fastest. Now, if you don't have a USB-C to USB-C cable, then you can do it through Wi-Fi and all that, and it's slower, but you can still do it. But I'm not going to do it because I'm not actually going to use this phone for my own primary use, so don't copy. Just a second, checking info. Now it's going to want me to sign in. I will use this email. And then, of course, after that, you have to put in your password. Alright, so then you go through and you agree to all Google's terms. I mean, obviously you should read those, but who's really going to do all that? They're going to use the service in the phone anyway, so you're kind of not really given much of a choice. It's a decent sized phone. I mean, it pretty much goes the full length of my hand, but it's not overly bulky. It's nice and slim. Here we're accepting all these other things. Now here you can do the finger unlock. I don't set those up. I don't typically like it because it causes you headaches at some points. So I'll skip. Protect your phone if you want to do a screen lock. I don't want to do a screen lock. I'm not going to use it. Nobody's really going to find anything on this phone. So like I said, I'll end up using it for beer money at the end of the day anyway. Alright, they're talking about checking out Google Assistant. I'm sure you're pretty familiar with this already. I say no thanks because I don't need Google Assistant. Anything else? No, I don't want to add any more email accounts, change font size, or my wallpaper. So it says finishing touches. And we should be good to go here. Now, something that is annoying is it'll tell you no SIM found if you're not going to use it with a SIM card. I will be putting a SIM card in here, but I wanted to show you the basic setup first. You can get into the Play Store, I usually change my settings so that the auto updates will go off of the mobile data. Since Visible has unlimited, I don't see any reason for it not to. I will also turn the volume down so we don't need to hear all that. And we will download the Visible app. Now the good thing about Visible is they recently changed up how they did their network. You can actually download their app from the Play Store off of their mobile data without having your activation yet, or at least I've been able to. And see here, it's telling me I can't download. I ran into that with the last phone, and when I was dealing with it, it was because of updating. So you may have to let it sit and update for a while. It says it's up to date there, so it may require the Play Store to finish updating itself. So while we're messing with that, I will go ahead and shut this down and start getting the SIM removal tool off of the SIM card that they send. Because unlike the A3, you didn't actually need the the tray tool. You could just pop the back off the phone and then you could swap it that way. However, the A7s are a little better, and they require you to pop the tray out. And that's because the batteries are non-removable batteries. So here's what the tray looks like. Basically, if you're not familiar with tray removals, I'll show you that again here on it. Got a little hole here. You take the removal tool, stick it right in there, push gently, it'll pop it up, and then you just slide it out. Now, SIM cards will only go in one way. They are shaped a specific way, and this is how you'll want to put it in. The metal contacts on the bottom or towards the back of the phone. The other tray spot here, that's for a micro SD card if you end up wanting to add additional space. So we'll just power the phone back on. Now you could actually do the SIM card while the phone is turned on. I don't recommend doing it because it's just going to turn around and say, hey, we detected a SIM card, so we'll need to restart anyway. So this way it's just getting a fresh start, detecting the SIM card from the get-go, and trying to apply settings as it needs. Got your headphone jack, and it does start up relatively quick. Still got the obnoxious sound. Here, I'll just mute it altogether. There we go. So you can see it's trying to do the signal towers, 4G. I've got good signal. Yes, I'm still on my Wi-Fi. Here, I'll actually turn it off. Give it a chance to finish doing its initial setup. It says activation complete, but it's not. Let's see if it will let us do Visible yet. Looks like the Google Play Store has updated from what it was. I can tell because the icon I use for my avatar was updated and moved to the right there. And this is why I recommend people don't rush getting stuff out of the Play Store when you first set up your phone, because the Play Store usually is out of date and has to do its update. Once it updates, then usually things will download pretty smooth afterwards. But to download. While we're doing that, I want to make sure it saved my settings. Auto update, yes it did. Because I've seen that undo itself before with some updates. So here it's downloading. Notice I haven't activated my phone service yet, even though it kind of says it was. You have to activate from within the visible app. In the past, you had to do this all on Wi-Fi. Now it lets you do it off of the 4G. They've probably had several complaints of people saying, well, I don't have internet, or I don't have very good Wi-Fi, or what have you. And so they needed to really do something to prevent you from having to have your own service in advance. I'm going to let this finish installing. I'm going to pause the video and be back as soon as it's ready. Alright, so we're fully installed. It doesn't take very long. Go ahead and hit open. It may take a moment to populate, especially with it still trying to go off the 4G that's not in your account yet. You can do the activate my service, and then it'll have you log in later, or you can log in first. So I'll go ahead and sign in. Password in there. Alright, so after logging in, it'll ask you to allow Visible to make and manage phone calls. You can say allow. It's not actually going to do anything. Go to activation. Choose whether or not you want to auto pay. Agree to their terms. Sometimes it takes a little bit for it to go through. Okay, so autopay's gone through. We hit activate service. Please confirm the information below before activating. It should have this, but I think the app is being buggy right now. So let me see if I can force it somehow. I think the service went ahead and activated, but it's not fully jiving. Alright, so I had to close the app and get back in. Obviously it was being buggy. Their app is not the greatest, but we'll try hitting activate this time, see if it goes through. It may just be a bad day for this, or it could be apps in the background just still updating, but it usually doesn't take this long. Usually it's just like tap, 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 and it goes through. Alright, it goes through and it says last step is to restart your phone. So, okay, got it. Hold the power button, go to restart, touch it again, restarting. That's your fingerprint sensor right there, your flash and your camera lens. You got your other camera right there, pretty traditional spot for it. I know with the the Pixel 4a, they've got it to the side, which is kind of annoying because sometimes there's ads or whatever that put the X right where they have the camera. So it's already booted back up. We're good to go. And we should be able to text and get on the internet. Go ahead and accept. Asking what account. No thanks. Alright, so here I could just search for anything. Let's go for one of the apps I've reviewed. We'll do smsprofit.net. Yeah, going to visible.com. Did not tell you to do that. Try it again. And I will say Visible has been slow in my area for the last 2 or 3 days, so this may take a few minutes to come up depending on their attitude on things. Looks like they are going to be problematic for us. Didn't want to go to Visible. How about we go to Yahoo? Maybe SMS Profits have an issue. And still not loading. So maybe we'll need to restart again. Maybe they're still associating APN settings. We'll try this again. Just like a lot of phone services, it's usually not perfect when you need it to be. But we'll say it usually goes a lot smoother than this for just activating your service and getting it going. I have a feeling today was just an off day. I also ported a phone number over, and sometimes when you're porting, it takes a while for the phone number to fully get ported through. I've seen it where it could take up to 48 hours before it fully was functional, which is obnoxious, but it is what it is. Alright, it shouldn't be taking that long, so there's obviously something going. Tap here to confirm update emergency location, don't need to. Don't want it to automatically jump on Wi-Fi. Looks like they're giving me a message of sorts, so let's see. Nope. So I think they're still updating in the background. Let me see if I can get this going. Alright, so I figured out what the issue was. It was just Google Chrome not being updated yet. The phone was working just fine, data was working. I've already texted myself, so you don't need to see that phone number. So texting was working, phone is calling. So the technical difficulty there was just basically telling the Play Store to finish updating the Chrome app. So that's what it is. Let me go to another website so you can see how smooth it is. smsprofit.net. It's another one of the apps I usually download. I can even download it and show you. You don't want storage access. Say continue, allow. Yes, I know it can be harmful. And so it's downloading. You hit details. It's going relatively quick. I can do a speed test, but that's more for the service itself rather than the functionality of the phone. But it's currently updating all these apps, so it'll be a while before it'll get to do anything like that. So if you got any questions about the phone, feel free to drop those in my comments section down below. I'd be happy to explain anything that's on it. But it's pretty basic. It's not got a lot of bloat whatsoever. It's just mostly the Google apps. So it is an unlocked phone, but unfortunately, kind of like the A3, this was made specifically for Visible and Yahoo Mobile, which Yahoo Mobile recently closed. So it's pretty much locked to Visible even though it's unlocked. I'm going to try it in a few other MVNOs just to be sure, but I know the A3, I have yet to find any other phone carrier that will actually work with it. So if you do find any other carriers other than Visible, let me know. I'd love to find out some other carriers that these phones could be utilized for. But that's basically it. It's pretty standard, pretty straightforward. It does use Android 9, so it is a little out of date, but some people prefer the older versions of Android. For example, if you wanted to use remote control software like TeamViewer, it works best with Android 9 and older, simply because you don't have to actually officially accept the connection on the phone, which is kind of the point of using it. So that's all I got for today. Until next time, have a good one.